So, good morning, everybody. Hey, it's Marie Fratoni with Get Clients Everywhere. Thank you for tuning in and listening in. This is today's version of Share Your Shine interviews, and I'm here super excited to get into this conversation with my friend and colleague and super fun buddy from Massachusetts, Maureen Whitehouse. And this is going to be a great conversation because you know, it's just important to have her unpack her story and share what's going on in her world and how she can make your life one of a life that is filled with fulfillment. So,
Mm,
Maureen, welcome.
perfect way to put it. Thank you for that introduction, Marie. I
You're
love that.
welcome. I'm so excited to get into this. So, for our viewers and our listeners, just so you know, Maureen and I have known each other now for a couple of years, and we've become some nice friends here together. But
Wow.
we've been in a metamind together, a giant mastermind, for a couple of years, and are continuing on in that. And that's where we met, and how we've gotten to know. And over those couple of years, I've really gotten to really have such deep respect for the work that she does, the kind of programs that she brings to everyday people to really have their life become miraculous and fulfilled. So, let me tell you just briefly who Maureen is, and then we're just going to get right into our conversation. Is that good?
Perfect.
All right, good. So, Maureen Whitehouse of maureenwhitehouse.com. Write that down so you've got that information. We'll go back to it. But Maureen is a spiritual teacher and a miracle mentor. I just love that. We could all use a few miracles today, right?
Every
She's
day.
an expert on experiencing enlightenment in the midst of normal life, and she's authored several best-selling books, dozens of programs, and given hundreds of international lectures on the subject of miracles and enlightenment. Her spiritual and simple teachings, all gained through firsthand experience, I think we'll hear a little bit about that today, and her practice in the Course of Miracles has already helped several clients and readers and listeners around the world to find inner peace and fulfillment in their lives. I think all of us today, well, I'll speak for myself, I can do, but fulfillment is what's really important to me at this point. So, Maureen, this is going to be a fun conversation, but I want to start with the big one. Okay.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit. You work in the space of miracles.
Right.
And what would be your definition, or how would you describe miracles that we might be able to notice every day and bring that to our
Yeah.
life?
Well, I love how you said that I work in the space of miracles because I believe we all do, but there's a certain shift in perception that has to come to be able to recognize what people often consider to be the most important thing in our lives, the space, but people think it's empty. And so if I were to say to you, what's the most important thing in the room that you're in right now? People might say, oh, my Buddha statue or my kitchen table, if they're in the kitchen, things that they're able to point to and touch and taste and feel. But think about this. The most important thing in the room that you're in is the space, because without the space, everything is dust. And it truly is. Everything's like 99.9% space. Even the cells of our body, the systems of our body, the organs of our body, it feels so real and tangible and able to touch and taste and feel. But the space is where all the real action is. So when you say fulfillment, the interesting thing is most people are looking for fulfillment in gaining and getting more stuff. And everyone knows here, especially if you're a person who's had a modicum of success, you get the stuff. And then there's always, well, there must be more than this. So the miraculous world is really just a small shift in perception that everyone has access to, because I truly firmly believe we're all miracles. Your miraculous self came into this life with your first breath, and that was invisible, but it was everything that animated you and brings you to life every day. And you leave with your last, and then you're just a pile of flesh and bones. So when we think of spirit, instead of making it be something that's, it separates or divides people or has any specific connotation to it, think of it as the space that surrounds us all, supplies us all, unconditionally supports us all. And that's the spirit of things. That's our spirited self. That's the part of us that when we get really spirited, we get really animated. We get really full of things, of grace, of joy, of peace, of ease. That's the world that we're tapping when we tap the miraculous. It's there always. Every single one of us is miraculous. We came in as miraculous beings, and everyone is in awe of a brand new baby. No one denies that that's a miracle. And then what happens? We forget. We get conditioned into seeing just the things that are conditional in orientation, finite in orientation, instead of this infinite nature that we all have.
It's really beautifully said. You use the analogy of the baby, and and it's like all you have to do is like look at a baby's little toes or their fingers or their little fingernails, and you just think, it is awe-inspiring, you know.
Yeah. And
Now,
that's the one thing about that, just to say briefly, that that's our capacity to co-create with the divine. Like that baby was created by two human beings. At best, we create that kind of perfection in life all the time. With all of our creations, we just become more aware of what's not typically seen. And then that's the impetus for our creations in life.
it's really beautiful. Now, it's interesting how, originally that was not the world that you lived in.
Oh, the opposite. Yeah.
Say a little bit about how you kind of like fell into this world and had
Yeah.
your own
Yeah.
miraculous experience.
We talked about this. I was always more inclined towards what people would call the mystical. When, as a little kid, I'd like to go into the church and sit there by myself, like, and just see the statues and light candles. And I was the little kid that was in the church in the mornings before school with the bunch of nuns in the front. And I just always had that resonance with, I don't know, it just felt important to me. But then I did the normal life, grew up as a teenager and went to college, and totally that was back burner. That doesn't fit, normal be in the midst of things. And then through a series of events, I became a commercial model and actor in New York City. And in Europe, I went back and forth as a model to Europe for many years. And I got to a point when I settled, met my husband over in Europe and came back to the States, and I was having a really successful career in Boston because it was sort of like a big fish in a small pond. And at the same time, I was perfect for commercials and the young mom I put on my resume, great with kids and dogs. And so I did a lot of commercials as the mom. And so I remember being on an audition between the two different auditions, and I used to kill time in like quiet places like churches and things. And there was a new age bookstore that was near where this audition was. And I went in and I went to the self-help section, and I had been a self-help junkie. I kind of was like, nope, nope, read it, read it, read it. No, they're just not, it's not enough to be positive. It's not enough to pour pink paint on things and feel like I just, there has to be more. And then I looked and saw a book underneath the bookshelf in the front of the store that was below the window, and it was really kind of like shining at me. And I went over and I picked it up. I was a little like, what's that? And when it fell open to a lesson in the book, A Course in Miracles, the spiritual text, A Course in Miracles. And it said, I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And I just started crying right in the store because I felt like a body. I had been a model all those years. My house was picture perfect, like rival Martha Stewart, because I was on commercial sets all the time. And I thought, if this is the American dream and this is all there is, I'm like really in trouble here. So I took it home and started doing it. I hid it under my couch because I didn't want anybody, like it felt important to me, even though I couldn't understand it. It felt really esoteric and I wanted something literal. I wanted to get like a national commercial that would pay me residuals. That was my miracle. But I did it for 2.5 years, like under my couch, 365 lessons. And it walked me to a place of being more oriented towards noticing the invisible in the world, the mystical part of the nature of things. It kind of hones you to be a mystic that can hear and see and sense the something more that, as it says, if you knew who walked beside you always, you would never have fear again, talking about divine beings and our beloved departed that are invisible now, but their essence and their love and the unconditioned part of them still remains. Anything that is the most important and valuable is really true. And everything that isn't valuable that we often focus on and think it's so important really isn't the real center stage. So I had an awakening experience after all those years, an ecstatic experience where I went into the heart of God. Can't just begin to describe that because you're at one with everything that's perfection. And my cat's bumping the camera.
Oh,
And
perfect.
he wants to be part of the conversation. He does that. He might pop behind me. Um, and and when I came down in layers, I had that classic near-death experience that people talk about as the life revision. And in that, I saw all the pain of my life, all of the problems and pain that I had experienced that were so big and enormous to me and overwhelming to me. I saw and felt this rolling chuckle that said, now you see how I see. Now you see how I see. And all the pain of my life was hilarious. I can't even explain how funny it was because I thought I wasn't divine. I It all originated in the fact that I didn't know I was divine. And that's the answer to everything for all of us. We're miraculous and we forgot. And so when we are aligned with that true self, I'm just going to push him away. Sorry, he's knocking the
It's okay
camera.
if he has a cameo.
He's trying pretty
He's a
hard.
divine being too.
He is. His name is Om. Omega. I have Alpha and Omega, my
I
two
love that.
cats. So I saw that life revision, I actually came back and my mind was still. When I came back, I look and I see that I had my two kids in bed with me because I was a fearful person at the time. My dog was perched at the window and alarms were on the house and my kids are in bed. And I was on fire, like absolute love on fire. I went to the bathroom mirror to compose myself, to like splash water on my face. And when I came up, I saw myself without a body. I saw myself as the spirit that we all are. And, at that time, I had worked with thousands of the most beautiful people in the world as a model and as a commercial actor. And my first thought was that nobody touched the beauty of this. And that's all of us at our core. That's all of us. And the eyes that looked back at me in the mirror were so loving that it nearly knocked me to my knees. That's the love of us that we have for ourselves, our true self. And I really have to move him. Okay. Otherwise, you'll feel like you're on a boat or something as you get moved around. Okay. So that love that we are, that we miss, is what that fulfillment is that you're talking about, Marie, that everybody is looking for that ultimate fulfillment and that peace of mind that we all have innately within us. So I went for 3 days where my mind was still after that, and I saw the beauty of life through the eyes of the divine without the ego tainting it or seeing it as dysfunctional or not enough. Or I saw, picking up my kids at school, I saw love meeting love, and everything was amplified in its beauty. The birds were singing symphonies, and watching the orchestration of people who were random strangers kind of crossing paths and realizing, oh, you were meant to smile right there, and just connect. It's all about connecting, not separation, not separate and divide, but connect to who we really are through our connection with each other.
It's really so beautiful. I just feel myself sitting here at my desk going,
Because doesn't it at a level, this, and all of us at some point have to say, and we think that's the dysfunction, or that there's something wrong with us, or we have mental illness, that we're dissatisfied, or that they're like, but that's our call home. That's our call. Each of us has within us, all of us remember. It's a distant memory, but we all have like this urge within us to find the something more. And fortunately, and it sometimes propels people outside to look, but fortunately, it's our deeper being, it's our deeper self. So when we start to spend quality time with ourselves, when we start to be more oriented towards, let's look for the quality versus the quantity, and let's look at the slowing down maybe instead of speeding up, or let's see that really truly less leaves us the capacity to see the space where we find the something more.
I think that's so important. You've said so many things that I want to comment on. One is I know for myself, well, you might know this, but my whole stand for people in my business is about connecting so we prosper.
Connecting
Without connection, there is no prospering, you know?
everything.
Yeah, and so I think that's really important. The question that I wanna ask you, and also, as I've been in my business for a long time, and many of the colleagues that I work with also have been in business for a long time, I'm doing way less than I used to do.
Mm,
And I'm not suffering at all, but I have more time for myself to write, to think, to help other people, to contribute, and sometimes that silent space of the well, in Italy, we call it dolce far niente, the sweetness of
mm,
doing nothing. A lot
See,
happens in that
they got
space.
that. They got that. The most important things happen in that space. And that's the hardest thing to believe, because we become human doings,
Right.
as it goes, and instead of human beings. But when we start to remember our being, that's when everything amplifies in quality, and all the synchronicities come. And I'm just going to stop us for 1 second while I grab him and put him somewhere else, because he's got it in his mind that this is his spot during our interview.
I mean, I'm a cat magnet, what can I say?
You are. Well, anytime there's a conversation like this that's about the something more, animals really get that. That's what we call instinct, but instinct. When they start to feel that deeper self or the awareness of it, they're like, oh, here's a safe space. Here's a good
Yeah.
space to be in.
It's a great thing to look at as business owners of how when we do that and we really connect with other people, they wanna move in,
Right.
so
Because it is what we all crave. We don't know that. I've written books about the intersection of food and spirituality, and I wrote
mm,
a book, Soulful, Soul dash FULL Eating, because as you said, the fulfillment comes from the experience of the connection. So the premise is eat with love, what's grown with love, prepared with love, and served with love. There's Italy for you. I described in one of the chapters, my favorite meal of my life, which was in Italy, when it was this little place and the family came out to eat their lunch after everybody else was served, and it was like, this is blowing the taste buds in my mouth. And when we told the owner, because they were sitting at the table near us, this is the best meal I've ever eaten, he goes, everybody says that, and then they go back to eating because of all the love. We saw the love in the family sitting there. It's the love. That's the unconditioned part of us, meant to be unconditioned. But so many people equate love with wounding, or love with challenges, or the finite experiences. This is the unconditioned love that we are, that's eternal.
it's just so beautiful, I hope those of you that are listening or watching this interview, are really just sitting here, kind of awestruck because, what I think Maureen is doing is sharing some simple messages, but yet they're very profound that we don't this is what she traffics in all the time.
all the time.
We're being busy doing whatever it is that we're doing, and I want to hear a little bit as we start to bring this a bit to a close here because we could go on for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I
we
know
could
this is
actually, couldn't we? The
quite
infinite.
fun.
We'd have infinite things to
We
talk about.
might need to do that. Um, but tell me a little bit about the work that you do when you work with people. Who are your clients? Who are your perfect clients that you love to work with that you know you can make a difference? And how do
Yeah.
people find you?
Yeah, I love the brand newbies who are not tainted by like spiritual concepts that are people call woo, but they're kind of sometimes hard to attain, or there's methodologies and things. And I always have had people come word of mouth. That's been the main way people have found me all these years. I kind of hid myself a little bit because when you can see through pain, and I truly can see through pain now, that the steady stream of people started coming pretty much right after I woke up through synchronicities, never ever hung a shingle or anything. And I like the people who are like dropping their kids off at the bus that are construction work. I like normal people. And I also love people who are very spiritually, I can't say advanced, but experienced, because like I like all those spectrums of people, because the brand newbie people, it's easy to open their eyes. And typically they come to me when they're in pain. Pain is a great equalizer. If someone comes to me in great pain, they want a miracle. I don't have to convince them that miracles are real. And fortunately, they're real. So people experience firsthand miracles right away when we're willing. It takes a little willingness to get out of the normal mindset and go into the spaciousness. And it takes often this capacity to say, look, help. That's the people who really are easy to get to the other side to experience miracles, because they're willing to let go of the things that they thought would work. They've kind of maybe come to the end of their rope at trying everything that didn't work. And this is the new perspective. Plus, it's everyone on the planet, because think of this, if we're all miracles, all of us, each and every one of us, and we forgot, there's your problem, there's your solution. Remember. So I remind people, and then people who sometimes are on these long, advanced spiritual path and have practices and things, sometimes they get a little bit wrapped up in the forest for the trees kind of thing, and need to get a perspective out of it for a bit, or to finally get somebody who's, gonna bring them back to themselves and say, yay, there you go. Not try to control or manipulate anything. Just here you go. You forgot. Let's open your eyes, lift a few veils, and you're back on your way. It's to reinvigorate. My favorite clients, and I have to say, like you said, I mean, what a blessed life. People talk to me about miracles, whereas most people, this is something that's off the charts, and they don't, or off their radar. They don't really want to look weird. With me, they'll say, I've never said this to anybody before in my life. Great. Say it to more people now, because
I love that.
what you focus on, you get more of.
Yes. Well, it's there. I know there's a lot of people out there in the online space that I see that are giving methodology of how to create miracles in your life. And the way I look at it is that miracles already are,
And,
and we miracles to me occur. And
mhm.
that's the miracle of them, is that they occur, that you don't I'm not in control of how I
Yes,
produce a miracle.
right.
And
It's
would you that's kind of how I
non-dual.
think.
Right. It's an unveiling more than anything else. So
Mm,
when someone comes, I've worked from everything. I've worked in prisons and hospitals and schools where kids are killing each other. In the beginning, I, was pretty much given marching orders to go into the down and dirty of life. And as I said, I had like the dog and the alarm on and stuff. I was a fearful person.
mm,
All of a sudden, I'm in maximum security prisons and things. And I was like, okay, this is a real deal, because I would never, with the, miles keep me away from that stuff or anyone's problems or pain. I was too empathetic. I would have felt like now my world's going to come crashing down because it'll happen to me next.
yeah.
Instead, being able to hold that space of awareness and still be capable of being compassionate, I call it, not empathy because I don't believe in the pain anymore. I believe in our wonderful creative capacity to make ourselves believe the stories that we have around everything that are painful. Once you show that there, could you view it this way, or a tiny little shift here, or a little orientation there, then it starts to unveil itself. So yeah, so I've done this work with people for 26 years, and I finally, for the first time, have an online course where people don't just have to get me one-on-one. I took the most golden, juiciest, most important phases of this to break it down that people could actually go step by step to have this miraculous nature be revealed to them again. And it's my miracle awakening method that I have used with everybody one on one for all these years. So it was a labor of love. It took me like 4 years to get that course, as a course. So,
It's really great. I encourage our listeners. I mean, because of sound bites and everything, we're going to need to bring this to a close, much as I
yeah.
do not want to. But what is the best way, Maureen, for people to reach out to you? Is it to go to maureenwhitehouse.com? What would work for you best?
I think you have a link that you can put in the chat about this course, Effortless Enlightenment, that I have that's opening now. I have a free gift that they can have that's called Pain to Power. That's at www.pain to the number two power.com. No, from pain to power, sorry, from pain to the number two power.com. And really, yes, maureenwhitehouse.com. There's multiple things that are awful free offers there for people to kind of get in alignment. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast called Miracle Renegade. So there are multiple ways, but again, if you have a link that you want to give to them, that would be great too.
I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that in this particular format. I'm not sure. I will ask my trusty assistant editor
Okay,
to be able
perfect.
to do that so she can listen to this. Um, this is just amazing. So I'm just really excited to bring your conversation, bring you to another world that runs with Marie Fratoni.
Well,
Um, and I'm
anything
hoping
Marie Fratoni is a blessed world. Really, truly, as you said, this. You look for the Dolce Vita, and that's what we're talking about.
it's really great. I think sometimes when I work with clients, they say the most amazing things, but they don't hear themselves say it.
Mm,
So they have people like us in their life that can kind of feedback and mirror um, their greatness because, I know for myself, I don't always see my greatness, but I'm fortunate that I, on purpose, put people around my life that will see that for me and reflect it back to me. And
yeah,
that to me is miraculous that I've been able to do that, because I don't think anyone is just born to say, "Oh, I need to put this little army of people around me," you
yeah.
know, but it's occurred that way, and to me, that's how it is
That's beautiful.
miraculous.
And that is miraculous. And I would say greatness, that greatness you're talking about, that everyone has, that is our miraculous nature. That is one and the same. We're all great. And our problem is that we just forgot and are looking for outside circumstances to validate us when this is an upwelling from our true self that then shines the light as your podcast, this is perfect. Our true nature is shiny, brilliance, perfection. And just letting that out is our purpose for coming here.
It's amazing. It's like I'd love to see you get to go to, like, Washington or work with global leaders because
I
I
would
think
love that
they've
too.
forgotten who they are.
Because it's not about pummeling them with more like my view, your view.
Right,
It's about reminding them
right.
everybody knows this.
Yeah,
Somewhere
yeah.
we know it with a capital K. This is just a
Somewhere.
reminder.
The
Yeah.
higher self always knows, It's just really great. Maureen, I just really want to say thank you for your time, your experience, your willingness to share. This has just been like such a super conversation, and I'm excited to bring it to my world. I just want to say thank you to those of you that are listening or viewing this episode of Share Your Shine. And this is Marie Fratoni, CEO of Get Clients Everywhere, getclientseverywhere.com. If you'd like to see more of this or learn a little bit about more of my business as well, you can go to getclientseverywhere.com. There's some freebies there for you as well. Um, know that I travel in great company,
Yeah.
and I'm really happy to bring that company to all of you to make a difference. And I just want to say again, thank you. Have a miraculous day. I'm sure you will. And because of you, I know I will as well. Thank
Thank
you.
thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you next time.